All right, so after that would be, yeah, technically this isn't part of the axial skeleton. Would be the shoulder girdle, is what I call it. Basically, what I like to do is that the clavicles are kind of, they're not straight. A lot of times people try to draw them straight. They're actually more like bicycle handles, very softly. I mean, they're not bent. I probably bent them even a little too much here. But I try to imagine that there's a line that goes from the scapula, or a circle that goes from the scapula here around to the back of the clavicles. Sorry, scapula back here to the front where the clavicles are. And then the arms come off of those. And I imagine that there's almost like a cup that sits on top of the ribs. Okay? I find that kind of helps. So, appendicular skeleton, the humerus or the upper arm. There's all these parts to it. So, the head is actually the part that inserts into the shoulder, the glenoid fossa. Surgical neck is the see, it doesn't really help because I don't have any of the pictures of it. Basically, these are the parts of it. Okay, so you can look it up if you want. I should draw a picture. The ulna is the one that basically has the olecranon process that makes it straight. The ulnar styloid process is the little bump here. You can feel it on the outside. The radial tuberosity is basically on the inside. And then the radial styloid is on this side here. So basically on either end, where you see the little knuckles, if you will, on your wrist, that's actually where they're from. It's from the styloid processes of the ulna and radius. Okay. The main thing to remember is that try to be careful about not making your arms rubber hose. Remember that and they're not perfectly straight, but there's a straight like bone. Or bones that run through the arm, okay? So make sure that they have a structure. When you are doing the hands, we have carpals, and then metacarpals, which make up the palm of the hand, or the long bones inside here. And then you have your phalanges, which is also what we call toes. What I would suggest here, mostly, is just think of your hands and fingers as planes and not round sausages. If you look at your fingers right now, you'll notice that they're actually kind of thinner and wider than they are. They're not round, okay? It'll have more structural integrity if you actually think of them that way than if you try to draw them as little sausages. It'll look sloppy. So the femur is the upper leg, okay? That's this thing right here. And then you have the patella, which is the knee bone here, all right? The kneecap, I think they sometimes call it. So this greater trochanter is this part here. This is the part that kind of sticks out. Well, it could act as a dimple. Sometimes it sticks out, but you can almost always feel it on the outside here. Okay, so that's the femur. And then these are the condyles. So we have the medial and lateral epicondyles. All right, are they epicondyles? There are epicondyles. Okay, on either side here. And then you have the tibia and the fibula. The tibia is actually the bigger one, and it's actually somewhat triangular in shape. And the tibial tuberosity is this little bump right here. The reason why that one in particular is significant is that you'll notice that if you look at your knee, it tends to have more of a triangular shape. If it was just a patella, it would actually look kind of round. It's because the little tibial tuberosity sticks out so much that it creates more of a triangle shape on the kneecap here. Okay. All right. So then we have our ankle bones and things here. So you have the medial and lateral malleoli. The medial one's on the inside. That's like the knuckle on the inside. And you have the one on the outside. It kind of inserts like this, okay? So this is actually the talus. I gotta draw more skeleton drawings. But it is somewhat at a weird angle. And it's also angled this way, okay? But this is kind of how I try to think of the foot. Feet are kind of difficult to draw in general. All right. Z-spheres, which is what you're going to use next. Basically, Z-spheres is a system that's made in ZBrush that allows you to draw out an understructure using these little spheres, and they get connected. So like that's the sphere, this is the sphere, that's the sphere, that's the sphere, that's the sphere, and then it creates like a path between them. And you can lay it out like this, and it's pretty easy. You just draw points in space, and it creates this armature. And then when you hit A, it'll actually polymesh it. and it uses the direction of these in order to create the geometry. So you can see the actual grid flow is correct as well. It's honestly, it's probably the best way to start a character model. It may be one of the better ways to start generally a model. And that's what you're going to use for this next thing. You're going to go through there, and what I want you to do is, using the Z-spheres of the video tutorials here, I want you to basically make the base mesh of the character of your human, all right, because that's your next assignment, is to do a realistic human, basically based off of yourself. Unless you want to do something specifically, but generally speaking, I would just say do yourself. But a humanoid, if you will. I want you to basically draw out the Z-spheres and then do a rough sculpting on the produced mesh in order to get the general silhouette and shape of your character, okay? And that is it. So good luck.